Hello, hello, hello.
Mark, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Good to be back.
I am excited about today's show.
It should be good. It should be good.
Unlike you, I don't get to enjoy that excitement with a beer, however, because it's 11 o'clock in the morning for me. And you have we should have worked out the timing of this a little better. I didn't do well in that negotiation of the time.
I'm out of water already, and I'm going to need to go get one of those beers from the refrigerator.
Envious. At least you don't start the beers till you start the show. Otherwise, it could get kind of silly.
Exactly.
If we started the show,
I'd need a few
half in the bag.
I'd need a few of them.
So I got yet another different background here. I'm on secret assignment in an Airbnb.
All right, out and about.
I didn't take the time to set up my my lav and my fancy little secret agent headphones. So I'll be wearing my headset for the call, which I think every now and then drops out. So if all of a sudden you don't hear me, it pops back after a few seconds. So it
hopefully it'll be
I beat the hell out of this. So what's been happening?
Well, hang on. What's this? What's the Z Power Diver saying? So much like you're wholehearted and fun. Salute. Is it really possible to negotiate with Mark? I mean, what are we talking about?
Really.
Like,
no,
what's he going to negotiate? I love negotiation.
Mark is worse than a woman. Absolutely worse than a woman. So you're going you're going to Oslo, right? Or that just happened?
This Friday, like what's that? It's Thursday tomorrow. I got a full day of work, and then first thing Friday morning, jump on a flight. I think I land around 10:15, and the Oslo Power Platform Saturday is on Saturday, of course, but of course speakers dinner on the Friday night, and mate, there's a great lineup of speakers, and what I really love is there's so many speakers from Oslo itself. This will be my second time back in Oslo. I love the city. Marius is, the genius that's put this whole thing on. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm on my pet topic at the moment, which is the common data service, common data model and data models, and making that simple in how we think about building solutions on the Power Platform.
We're in that interesting time now where we're really, first of all, we got partners that are struggling to grasp what's going on, but customers are like hopeless to grasp what's going on, and the changes are profound, and way too profound for so many people to not be aware of what's going on, we're in that tweener phase of educating customers. I know with
I like it. Tweener phase. What's a tweener?
Something between.
Like, are you talking about between puberty and adulthood, or what?
No, that's something else either. That's something else entirely.
Well, see, the actual tween, my understand tween is between kind of 11, 12 years old and then your teens.
Yes.
It's a specific demographic that I know marketers go after.
I guess they maybe call them tweeners.
Yeah, tweeners.
So we're in that tweener zone.
Yeah, right, wieners.
And in a way, I guess we are, because we're going from a very immature thing to something that's a little more mature.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say CDS is a tween.
Gotcha. I hear you. It
wasn't my intention when I said it. I was thinking more about being between two things, but I think that the either description works.
Yeah.
I know when we're talking to customers about, for example, Rapid Start, I feel like if you're trying to sell something, and the biggest part of the sales motion is teaching, is explaining. That's tough.
Telling the story.
Yeah, educating. Educate. You don't want to have to educate in a sales process. You want to have the customer really kind of have enough understanding that they know what you're talking about, and then you can kind of sell on your advantages and your reputation. But But right now, all these sales conversations start out with, so explain CDS to me. What is CDS? It's heavy education mode right now for partners and ISVs that are looking on that PowerApps side. And oh, PowerApps, that's that SharePoint thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, so all these, and the customers, since they're not on the inside and they don't grasp this stuff, trying to be able to explain it to them in a way that the light bulb goes off is very challenging.
I think it has to be explained in the context of their world, right? Rather than we do so much explaining in the context of our world, and we are technologists and live in that space. And like, just when you said that, it reminded me of a book called The Challenger Sale. It came out
I remember
around 2008 when or just after that, when the global financial crisis hit. It was by Matthew Dixon and Brent Adamson. I just looked it up there. And what this dealt with is that all the kind of sales models that had worked up to the global financial crisis in 2008 was relationship selling, was, spin selling. There was a whole bunch of techniques that were very common, but that all started to fall over. All those kind of superstar salespeople started crashing and burning when the global financial crisis hit, and all of a sudden people had no money to spend. And out came the Challenger Sale, and it is all about the need as a salesperson to put on the hat of a teacher and go and teach the gaps that are in your clients, because they don't know them. They need to be taught about them and what the impact of it is, and then of course what's the solution, which of course would somehow map to the benefits your technology brings.
I think the biggest shift was moving from hi customer, how can I help you, to hi customer, let me tell you what you need.
Exactly.
And that was really the shift, and it was a shift for me as well, because I was all relationship sales. Hey, how can I help you today? I don't ask how I can help a customer anymore, because they don't freaking know. They don't have a clue. They know they got
to tell them.
Yeah, they know they got problems. So I'm really starting conversations with customers more along the lines of tell me about your business and tell me what your struggles are.
Yeah.
I'm not asking them to tell me what they want me to do for them.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any idea what I can do or what's even available to solve their problems. Just explain to me your pain, and then I'm going to tell you how it's best to solve it. You know. And if you don't agree with me, then go call some other partner who will ask you what you want them to do for you, because that's just pointless. They don't know. They just don't know. And I think we're a ways away from them being able to understand. As I said, we get partners that don't understand, and they're in the business. Can you imagine a customer at some other, their customer business? They don't know anything about what we're doing. They don't understand any of this stuff.
You know what? Around that global financial crisis time frame, and the move on since then, was when I saw a real change in the way you could sell. Because if you have to teach and train customers, it's too much work for one individual salesperson to do. You need a team. In that book, I just brought up a graphic, and he talks about the 5 distinct profiles. The lone wolf. In the past, the lone wolf did very well in sales, right? If you knew how to sell and you were a rock star and you knew how to read a customer, you could do very well. But of course, the lone wolf really bit the bullet, if you like, when the GFC happened. They talk about
the lone wolf was the professional bullshitter, right? I mean, he was
get away with it.
Bullshitter. Go in and tell the customer whatever it is it takes to get that sale done. And he was the rainmaker because he closed that deal and turned it over to the team, who then had to deal with the customer who was oversold, and because that lone wolf rainmaker just said whatever it took to get the deal done.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fly anymore.
Yeah. The other ones there was hard worker, relationship builder, and problem solver. All 4 distinct profiles that all struggled after the global financial crisis. But then, of course, the challenger is somebody that comes in and challenges the norms of a business and the problems a business has, and comes up with solutions to those challenges. I love it.
Well, and frankly, that's where the money is made.
Yeah.
You don't make money by going into a customer organization and say, how are you doing things? Okay, great. Let's do that on an app.
Yeah.
You go into a customer saying, how are you doing things? And then you say, why are you doing it that way?
Yeah.
That's really stupid. That's inefficient. That's dumb. That's old. That whole, the way you're doing it needs to change into something modern. And by the way, we represent technology that can help with that. But it's not how are you doing things? Let's make an app for how you do it. It's really looking at how they're doing things and saying, why are you doing it that way?
Yeah.
And as you know, from your experience as well, the most common answer is, well, that's how we've always done it. Yeah, that's how we've always done it.
Right? I hate those words.
Yep. Oh, those are always my favorite, because that's about the weakest excuse a customer could possibly come up with for a stupid business process. Is that's how we've always done it.
Yeah.
It's the easiest one to overcome.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Because it's unjustifiable. You can't justify a bad business process with that's how we've always done it. It doesn't hold any water, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't I just go grab a beer out of my fridge?
Right.
Perhaps someone could join us that might be listening now that could maybe also have a beer, or someone that's known for his fine taste in beer. Perhaps Yuka could jump on the call with us, and let's.
Oh, what a surprise! And
was it meant to be a surprise?
I guess we said it on LinkedIn, so I guess it isn't a surprise. So yeah,
Exactly.
No surprise. So you grab a beer while Juka comes in, and then we'll talk some of everybody's favorite topic, licensing.
Well, we've had so many requests for this licensing discussion; it just doesn't seem to be going away at the moment. So why not bring a guru on here that's known for his dedication to really understanding and uncovering the license model. And
there he is. Unmute.
Welcome. Welcome.
Hello.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go get my beer. Go for it.
Did you find one? Yuka won. He got the beer first. And of course, as you may not know, Yuka, it's 11 a.m. my time, so a little early for a beer.
What time's it?
Maybe 1 more hour and you'll be good to go.
Oh, noon? Is that the, I guess that's how it works in Norway, or I mean, Finland. Noon is beer 30.
I'm still on the Amsterdam beer at the moment.
So Julian says hello, Yuka. So you got some Z Power Diver. Yeah, everybody's welcoming you on the on the chat.
Hello, guys.
So the world-renowned Yuka, probably I go out and scream about things, and then Yuka goes out and explains them. So, we're like a 1-2 punch on a lot of these things.
First I wait for you to scream about it, then I have the courage to actually write about a sensible blog post about it. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you can just look and you see when I scream about something, how many people follow it and whether they're interested. And then if there's a big audience there, you know, you can tap in and say, oh, I'm going to actually explain all that. You know.
So Yuka, what's your blog? So people can, in fact, can you smash that into the comments section on YouTube so people know, and even in the recording afterwards, can see that you're probably the most intelligent writer when it comes to writing blog posts in the MVP community, well, in our Microsoft Biz App space, of course. I think that'll be valuable because one of the things that we got Yuka on here is that he knows his stuff and that he's very well researched. He's probably knows more about licensing than any Microsoft field staff member. In my experience, it's absolutely the case. And so,
frankly, that's not a high bar, but to know more than people inside of Microsoft about licensing. I say one of the things I really appreciate about
just remember, there's some Microsoft staff lurking on this call. Like, I know they don't identify themselves, but they send me messages afterwards. So no disrespect.
I'm pretty sure they know my opinions on stuff, and I don't think I've held them back about the capabilities there and some of that. I think one of the things I really enjoy about Yuka's posts is he does the research. He'll go in. He's going through the decks. He's going through the material. He's parsing out the NDA. And on what information is public out there, which frankly is scattered in lots of different places. He puts in the effort to go find all that stuff and assemble it into some sensible form. And they're very long and very informative posts. And I think that the whole community appreciates you doing that, because I know how much work that could be, because I'm way too lazy to do any of that work, because it's a lot of work.
Thanks a lot, Steve. That means a lot coming from you, because you do write quite a lot of very in-depth posts yourself, and they're maybe probably not that much about like research, but about sharing your ideas or like perspective on it. So you're
I'm just an opinionated bastard is all.
Mm-hmm. You do what you're good at.
So the big topic, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. Tell us what's the story? What's your take? That's really what I want. What's your take on all the recent announcements around PowerApps license changes, portal license changes, flow license changes? Let's put Dynamics to one side. I don't think we need to readdress that at the moment, although there has been some slight changes there. But what's your take, Yuka, on these three specific license structures that have come out?
So the way I see it is probably the first time we now really have an actual separation of what's the price per platform and price per app. So that was what I kind of dissected in my recent blog post. And looking at all these changes, I think the really a goal there for Microsoft has been that they want to see that, okay, where's the money come from actually? So all this kind of stopping setting the CRM suite like people used to do back in the days with the kind of traditional enterprise software, and now instead just like splitting out into the actual apps that people are using. So rather than like setting a blanket license for the whole company and then hoping that the ROI is good enough on that, now it's going to be about setting the apps and then keep on selling more. So you don't just buy Dynamics once, you keep on buying it. The more apps there are out there that are going to fit your needs or be kind of like the suitable, let's say, right app at the right time from Microsoft. And so while they are now building the model there, I think that's a logical consequence is that it makes sense to also then open it up for the partner ecosystem. So a lot of what they actually need for that kind of model is then also serving the ISVs, so that we have to have like a channel where to sell those applications, just like Dynamics. So all this about opening up the third-party applications for CSP channel, for example. And I can imagine that down the line there has to be also a better way to then kind of protect the IPR. So we kind of see now that because of the history, I mean, it used to be just the App Plus platform. There was no way to just take one and not use the other. So you had to first buy Dynamics as a application, then you could start using as a platform, which doesn't make sense in the cloud era. I mean, you don't need to install the service anymore. You could just be hopping on top of the platform, and then who cares if you are a Dynamics CRM customer or not? You could be coming from Salesforce, Oracle, and you still can be a very valuable and good customer for Microsoft for the business platforms. So I think that's the kind of the big game that's being played out there now, and where all these kind of changes come from. So they might seem for the customers and partners kind of a bit disjointed if you don't see the kind of the path that's Microsoft is walking down here. So it's not just about the kind of the technical stuff, making the apps optional, but rather also them making it such that they can be kind of self-sustained on top of the platform, also money-wise or license-wise.
It's definitely interesting the shift, because the business applications were always finished applications sold, and then extended and customized by customers, by partners for customers. And very recently, I was speaking with one of the senior folks I don't want to mention that had said, everything you're looking at here, the building that we're in, all of the people in this building, these 5,000 people right now, all of that is funded by Dynamics 365. The first party apps fund all of that. And then when you see the motions that have happened around the platform side, well, I'm sure it's given the success of Azure as a platform. I mean, that Azure was really what has blown up Microsoft. It was a platform. And this whole platform mentality coming in, that's a bold move for Microsoft for the business applications group, that the cash cow has always been the first party apps, to really open up this door to the unknown, and see where that goes, knowing it's going to cannibalize, obviously with a hope that it grows so much bigger that they won't worry about the cannibalization. And in my podcast I did with Hayden Stafford recently, who runs the sales org, he said there was a lot of angst inside about that. He said that right on a pod, that there was a lot of angst inside of Microsoft about what Charles and his team, where they were taking things, and the first party app teams, and they're concerned about protection and not cannibalizing. And the gloves are off, right? There's no restriction. You can build anything you want, on the PowerApps platform. You can replicate function. You can do anything you want to do on the PowerApps platform, and that's bold. And he had even said that he thought that this year that some ISV was going to make the investment. It would be a big investment, bigger than what we did with RapidStart. RapidStart wasn't intended to be an enterprise sales application, but that some ISV is going to make the investment and build an enterprise sales application on the platform that would compete head to head with the whole feature set of Dynamics Enterprise for Sales, for example. And it's interesting. So I think it's a bold shift. It's definitely a bold shift for them.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about opening up the barn doors and letting the cash cows run out, I think that's a great metaphor for kind of what the fears there for people who have been who come from the MBS side, so who've been in the Dynamics partner business forever. So it's really funny then, observing the kind of the first ground where actually PowerApps then gained some foothold, which was on the Office side, on the citizen developer story. And we look at the recent changes then from their perspective, then for them the price just keeps on going up. So it's not sound like they're not giving away more for less, but rather they see that it's actually they're now tightening up the rules around what you can do with the apps, and we see the totally opposite story there.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on this side of the fence, because for us, as Dynamics guys, and as ISVs and as platform ISVs, the new licensing model of the $10 per user for a single app, which frankly is 99% of my users. That's enormous for us. That's a huge cost advantage for us. But yeah, I'm watching the guys from the SharePoint side, the guys from the Azure side that have been building Canvas apps all screaming bloody murder that, hey, wait a minute, suddenly there's a cost for something that I guess was just baked in before, but they have to reconcile those two, right? I mean, they've got to get, PowerApps has ultimately got to mean a single thing. It may have different variations, but it's ultimately got to mean the same thing. And I don't know how they get there if they don't reconcile that.
Yeah, because the previous story was that they were going to build the CDS 1.0 on their own, kind of as the back end of PowerApps. And I mean, if they would have continued down that route, then it wouldn't be a nowhere near the kind of financially significant story for Microsoft. It wouldn't be the kind of fourth cloud in Satya's keynotes. Yeah,
if they had continued down that path, we'd be looking at integration stories with the stuff we're doing, integrating with that instead of building on it.
The thing is with the story, though, right, is that Microsoft are very much a tools company. They're not just a software that they sell in-user software. They've always been a company that provided developers with the tools to build new and exciting and innovative applications. And I think that this pivot away from, crazy. I remember sitting in, where was it? It was in Houston, Texas, on a Ferris wheel with a lady that was one of the ladies responsible on the product team. And she was telling me that their vision was that XRM wasn't a thing. They thought that they should purely be an application-only story, the Dynamics product. And she's no longer on the team, and most of the people are no longer on the team that were there when she was there. But the whole world they had a different philosophy back then. And I think why they are comfortable that they can make this pivot now is that, those products have become, billion dollar lines of business for them. If they sat there, the future would have moved on. You imagine if they'd sat with Exchange, in the former, it used to be before Azure, SharePoint, 3.0 before it moved to Azure, and became part of Office 365. All these type of things would have left them irrelevant, I think, in the market. And I think that the risk was that Dynamics would also become irrelevant with where the world's pivoting, and that people don't want an application that changes their oil, washes their dishes, and does everything. They want something that is simple to use and does one thing. And the beauty of PowerApps is you can create these applications that do specific use cases. And therefore, because the complexity is stripped out, you don't have all this UI baggage, if you like, people can create, apps that have tremendous value inside an organization. If you look at any of the success stories that Microsoft are touting at the moment, these are genuine. What I've seen in Virgin Atlantic, for example, are genuine, massive savings and benefits to these organizations that kind of take a DevOps process and go, okay, what are the various processes in our organization that we can turn into simple one-off applications that just do this one thing really well? And you know what? It takes 5 minutes to train somebody on how to use it.
The problem is that's half the story. And that's the challenge I think that Microsoft has with PowerApps that is one half of the PowerApps story. Is you can build targeted, specific, simple to use apps on PowerApps, but also on PowerApps on CDS, you can build the most sophisticated application that you could possibly think of to run an entire enterprise organization. Yeah. I mean, it spans. And right now, up until recently, that the story you just said, which is the first half, has been the only story that there's been. Now we've got this whole other half of the story. And this is my concern with customers grasping that, wait a minute, I can build the little simple app for keeping track of when somebody checks out the water jug in the break room, but with the same tool set or same platform, I can also build an enterprise application that it seems almost too mind-boggling, I think, for people to grasp how that happens. And to what my point earlier, where Microsoft's trying to merge those two things into a single thing, right? And I don't know how much we're able to say about some of that stuff, but about some of the directions of how that's going to happen, where literally in the same design surface, you can go both those directions, which are completely different directions. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, but the thing is that, and they have publicly talked about that, because I know one of the chaps on my podcast talked about it from the Maker team.
And Clay, so probably Clay, right?
Yeah, Clay. It was Clay. He talked about them. Their vision is to see them come together. But this is where we've got to take off our technologist hats, and from people being inside or being able to see behind the curtain. And I'm talking about any PowerApps consultant out there. We have knowledge because we're working with it, and we've got to go back and I've just written a post that's going to come out in the next couple of weeks, which is around the beginner's mindset. We keep thinking that everybody knows the stuff we know, and the customer doesn't. They don't know what we know. They don't know all that kind of
it's not their business. Not their business.
And you know what? They don't care. They have a problem that needs to be solved. We don't have to bog them down with, is it a canvas? Is it model driven? Irrelevant. We need to say, let's have a look at your problem and let's create the solution for it. Yes, we're going to use something called the Power Platform, but the nuances of canvas, model driven, all these things, honestly, it should all be, ducks on a pond. That's going on below the water, business as usual. I think we overcomplicate it as consultants in this space more than what the customer really sees it as.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to get Yuka's take on something that I wrote a post a while back and got a lot of heat about it, about really the end of developers. That those developers out there, the C# developer coders, that they're all in trouble in the very near future because of what's been happening with the platform. And I know with with our efforts internally, both on customers as well as our own IP, we have a configure first. You know, I mean, if you got to crack open Visual Studio and start doing some C#, you better have a damn good reason to do it. And the requirement to crack open Visual Studio and bust into C# is getting less and less and less. We've got full IP out there and done full customer deployments without ever writing any code. So I'm curious about the future of the developer. I mean, we're looking at right now, our staff is transitioning from having been developer heavy to, I mean, we're looking at citizens. I mean, we're looking at business analysts. We're looking at people we could teach, teach the tools that don't have any development knowledge and don't need any. And I'm sure we'll always have a developer or two for that need. But I'm seeing that whole thing tip. What do you think, Jukka?
Yeah, I think it's very true from the business application scope that the roles for the developer there are shrinking. I mean, they've been shrinking for many years now, even before this platform merger. And but then also, if we kind of look at the other perspective, that's what kind of people do Microsoft then now want to be kind of working on the platform. So if you look at their presence at Build conference, for example, how they are now then introducing all the Azure DevOps capability into the platform, then I kind of see that, I mean, down the line, they're not happy with just being the kind of the business application platform there, but for this kind of, let's say, well, I mean, internal applications, but rather than kind of offering that as the kind of design canvas for even like pro devs to build actual total custom applications on top of it, because they see that the toolkit there actually then allows them to skip a lot of the hard work there on the client side, all the UI stuff, all the admin side, all the compliance, all the kind of auditing, whatever GDPR style requirements that keep coming at them. So I do think really that's kind of it's probably our platform is going towards being the kind of what it already is, the storefront for the Azure services. And it's going to be really critical that we're not going to be alienating those guys who actually should be then kind of embracing that as a big part of the toolkit, and they're moving away from kind of building inside the platform and then just rather tapping into it via APIs and connectors and integrating that with their development pipelines. So if you look at the big picture, then there probably is going to be more and more actual developers who kind of work on stuff that's connected with Power Platform, but not on the traditional kind of role that they used to be in the Dynamics partner organizations.
Yeah, let's take a look. We got some people asking some questions here. We certainly don't want to ignore our very important and valuable audience. Let me run through a couple of these here, Jukka, while we've got you here. I've got some, Julian is asking about your opinion about the portal licensing and what we're able to say about that. He's like, he's talking about for external users. They developed an ISV solution with it and a model-driven app for external users, but they're still struggling with them. And what do we know? What can we say about external users of either portals, I guess, or I guess it's just really portals?
Yeah, the portal story really is interesting in a way that now, because they kind of made it part of the mainstream platform there by rebranding Dynamics portals into Paris portals, and of course it used to be ADX Studio portals before that. So there's probably going to be lots of great investment now on the kind of app building capability that's going to make it more accessible for the app builders. But then at the same time, this the licensing model for the authenticated users. So effectively, you have to pay like $2 per login for those users who happen to access your the portal that you publish there. So I find that a really hard model to sell at the moment.
So it's like, we got this great customer portal, but please don't use it, customer. I can't afford to have you use it. Stay away.
And all because of the fact that, the BizApps licensing is upfront and per user, whereas Azure is consumption based. And if there's more visitors, then you pay more as a result of what your monthly consumption rates. But then this, I'm not sure if it's going to fly well with customers. So the kind of demand for getting external people, giving them some UI that they can, access the greatness of our platform that's huge. But then this answer probably is not going to be, it's not going to be the final solution for it. So also because of the fact that the portals are not yet really that well integrated with, what's the client story is there on the canvas versus model driven side, which are merging fast, but the portals is still kind of to be defined that when are we going to see, for example, PCF support there on the portal side. So I have shared the same pain as Julian does and many other partners at the moment about that choice.
I think we have to give Microsoft credit. They usually get it right the second time.
Mm-hmm. Actually, they read your blog post about what went wrong in the first
well,
just take a look at the few of the other comments coming through there about that. Do you want to just take a look at the chat session there, Steve, and surface?
Yeah, I think they're talking mostly about the portal, but I get that there's concern about the licensing that they've proposed. But when I look back at every time Microsoft makes any kind of a licensing announcement, everybody screams. And if the screams are legitimate, Microsoft goes in, and maybe not immediately, but they ultimately go in second time around and get it, if not right, at least closer. That happened with the marketing app. There was an app that nobody was ever going to buy that app, the way they had the licensing model on that until
Are they buying it at the moment?
Yeah, we're seeing people buying it now.
Man, marketing, once again, I'm just hearing nothing about marketing. Dynamics 365 marketing, I haven't heard of any success stories. I haven't heard of any case studies. I'm hearing zip.
So we got one. They just published a case study on one of our customers. So there's a good case study out there now. It's Northrop and Johnson Yacht Company that just got posted out there. But it is kind of ironic that for the marketing app, Microsoft has done a really lousy job of marketing the marketing app. Maybe they need to use their own app to market their app, because they really haven't done a very good job of marketing that app. But my point was that they did go in and fix the licensing model to something workable. And if it turns out that what has been proposed around the portal, licensing can kill a great technology and keep it from ever getting off the ground. It did it with marketing. And they'll come back. I remember talking to one of the Microsoft senior folks several years ago about something on licensing, something I thought was too high. And he told me, he says, we can always go back and lower the cost, but we could never go back and raise it. It's impossible to raise price with a customer very easily without massive changes, but we can very easily go in and say, hey, you know what? On second thought, we're going to charge less for this. So it wasn't like, obviously they don't want to leave money on the table, right? They want to shoot as high as they can and they got to find the pain point with the customer, what they're willing to pay. But if they shoot too high and the pain point's too high, fine, then they can always come back. But they wouldn't want to have something take off and go damn. But frankly, I think they're about to have that happen with the per app model. That $10, I personally think that's going to explode, and I think they're going to go, oh shit, we could have got a lot more money than that.
But you're having all the people complain in the community that have been on the, let's say, the P1/O365 licensing, that have built 7 Canvas apps, that are now absolutely panicking over the new prices.
They'll come up with something. Frankly, it wouldn't be Microsoft and it wouldn't be the partners if there wasn't pissing and moaning and bitching going on. It's just everything anybody does is going to impact somebody, and they're going to complain about it. And then somebody's going to complain, and somebody else will go, yeah. And then there's a little bandwagon effect that jumps on, and it's the dance, right? This isn't the first time we've been to this dance, and it's a continuous dance with them on all these things. But
so true.
I mean, when they came out with, I remember, I mean, I'm sure we all do, when Dynamics CRM Online was $44 a month per user. And then we had that big, huge shift to now we're going to separate these apps and they're going to go to like $95 and all the big hoopla about it. But it didn't kill the platform. It didn't kill anything.
True.
So
True.
some things they get away with. So you try on everything, and some things you just realize, you know what, that is gonna kill the advancement of this platform, and we're gonna have to do something with it.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious, and I think Mark, you're the one who may have said that are all partners going to end up becoming ISVs? Because when you look at the first party apps and what they're doing there, and when you think of those as maybe their history and their legacy, those first party apps, but opening up this platform, and in particular this potential of a $10 license, that on a $10 license, I mean, you can build a hell of a lot with them. That gives you a model driven app, a Canvas app, and a portal between the three things. And it's going to change how we architect things a little bit. I mean, where I might have built a solution that had like 4 different apps in it, just for some clear separation. Maybe now I'm just going to put all that in one app and separate by security role or something like that, because it's being sold per app. But I think there is an opportunity for lots of partners to be thinking about that ISV, or if not ISV, at least building on the platform alone.
Awesome. Yuka, it's been great to have you on the show. Thanks. And I'm sure we'll pull you back in the future as we get more questions in. Guys, check out his website. I put Surviving CRM in the comments there. It's worth a look. And as I say, if there was one MVP only that you're allowed to follow in the world in the Microsoft Biz App space, this is the guy you'll want to follow.
Hey, wait a minute. What am I now? Chopped liver?
Yeah, chopped liver.
There's got to be at least 3. There's got to be at least 3 on everybody's list, and the 3 of them are on this show right now.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Right, thanks, Yuka. Very cool chat with Yuka.
So good.
It's funny. When I've met him in person several times now, he's always been a little quiet, and I was a little nervous that we were going to have a little struggle in our interview getting him to talk. But boy, he don't have any problem talking at all. He just rambled off. We were right in his wheelhouse. Right.
I like Yuka. Right, he's a deep river, and he has
he's a what?
Much knowledge.
He's a what?
A deep river. Haven't you heard the silent type? They it might be still water on the surface, but they're deep. There's a lot of insights in the guy, and Yuka is one of those guys. He's been in the MVP program sometime, and he's just quality. He has good insights. He doesn't probably get as emotional as you and I, but that probably comes from his Finnish heritage, right? Because I think they're pretty unemotional types.
He might have got emotional if somebody come in there and tried to take his beer.
Yeah. Mate, he knows how to drink quality beer. I tell you what, he does. Yeah. He always seems to have a new beer in hand. I think he's an aficionado.
He's a connoisseur of beer. Yeah, he's definitely a beer connoisseur.
You know what disappoints me, though? I'll tell you what disappoints me.
He's better looking with bald than you and I.
His bald head's better shiny than yours and mine. Yeah, that's what disappoints me about Finland. Right, I am still waiting. There's a couple of great MVPs up in that region. Have they run a 365 Saturday event?
I thought they did.
Nope.
No.
No. Auntie put some side session on, but. Man, I want to get up there. I want my invite to Helsinki. I want to get up there. I want to have a 365 Saturday. They reckon people move slowly up there. Man, there's a lot of active people in Helsinki and the wider Finnish community. Man, I want to get up there. I want Yuka to take me out for the best beer that you can have up there, and really, as well, we'll do a big community engagement. We'll speak.
If you want to get up there, you just don't want to have to spend any money to do it.
No. I want a good compelling. Like, I've got to go to Finland. I've never been to Finland, and I've been to every other. What are they called? That whole group.
Nordics.
Nordics. No, it's more than Nordics. What's the other term? Scandinavian. I've been up to that whole region, and I do need to go up there. And I just need to see Finland. I just want to.
You could just said he'll do an event just for you.
Awesome. Let's make it happen before Christmas.
It'll be Mark Smith comes to Finland.
That'll be.
So we got a couple other questions here if you want to catch them.
I'd love a winter up there.
Let's see if we got a couple other questions we're able to benefit.
Okay, well, you're looking at that. I'm just going to bring something up on screen, which is is
So
top of mind for me right now. One second. Let me just bring this up on screen because I'm just going to give a little educational session right now on what is it called? It's Microsoft Learn. So people, if you're watching this, and I'm only going to do this now because I've just been on a session recently with a bunch of Microsoft folks. Microsoft Learn is growing massively. Get into the filtered groups, get signed in. And down here, I just want to show you a couple of things. Notice modules or learning paths. If you click on learning paths, notice what happens to all the icons. All the icons are no longer circles. That means you're on a learning path or the content is a learning path item, where if we take that off, right, we get modules. And modules, as you can see, are just circles. So if you're wondering what the different in iconography, that's important. The other thing I just wanted to highlight, you've got the various levels that you can look at, the various types. You've got the roles that you can sort by. You've got all these dynamics technologies. But what I wanted to show you here is if you type in here, and look, CDS is up there. Let's go. I want to do some CDS training. No results. Whoops. But if I put in there, common data service, all of a sudden, oops, I've spelled that wrong. Let's just go there. There you go. There's a whole bunch of training on common data service available up there. And I just think, that wasn't clear to me. I thought perhaps there's folks that it's not clear to, and that might be worth noting that Microsoft Learn, has been going about a year now, and it's getting better and better and better all the time.
I mean, this is it, right? I mean, I know you're deeply engaged with that team. This is going to be the end-all, be-all source for learning Microsoft stuff. Is this thing? None of the other, all the old stuff is being retired, and it's all being put in here, right? This is
all publicly
available because
Microsoft Learn.
It's always been a challenge with Microsoft because all that stuff was scattered all over the place, depending on discipline. So it's almost like you can delete all of your old bookmarks and replace them with Learn for any of that sort of stuff, huh?
That's it. Definitely the place to go. What else is top of mind for you? I've got a couple of things. I'll jump into them unless you got something that you want to.
Well, let's catch a couple questions here, and then we'll jump back to that. I see Thomas is asking about. He says, I don't think the market would benefit with several SMB sales solutions where everything is custom. I almost want someone to just dominate your solution, Steve.
Like your solution.
Like your solution, Steve. Well, I would like that too. So thank you.
Steve would love that.
I vote for that one.
But Thomas, and I look forward to seeing you, Thomas, on Friday at dinner in Norway. Looking forward to that. Thomas is in Oslo. But what I'm just on that, what the opportunity is not around creating a lightweight sales module. It's around creating a sales module just for legal, or a sales module just for accountants, or a sales module just for plumbers or drain layers or electricians. That's where the opportunity comes out, right? To create, I remember, when I was in banking years ago, and I was a loan originator in a bank, and I went out and I saw this guy, and he built an access database for plumbers, right, in little old New Zealand. And he had a map on the wall of the world. And his little access database that he sold for, $50 was in thousands and thousands of businesses all over the globe. Yep. Because he just did one thing. He did a database to run a plumbing business. That's it, right? He understood plumbers. He did it. He had the features that they wanted, and he had a pin in every one of these. And I was just like I was an in software then, and I was just like, in hindsight, far out. This is amazing that this one guy operating from his basement had thousands of people all over the world, little old New Zealand, because he built a Access database designed, because he didn't call it Access. No one knew it was on Access. It's just, because he OEM'd it. And that's where the opportunity for the common data service is right now, right? To build these niche applications that service a massive niche around the world, but is totally tailored for that industry. That's the opportunity.
I agree. I think that is a huge opportunity. I think another aspect that people sometimes downplay, and Thomas might have been alluding to it there, is pretty much any of us in the business can go out there, common data service, and try and hack together some little app, make something that seems easy. Actually, it's not as easy as it seems to ultimately build something. The hardest thing to accomplish in our business is not just the ISV, it's not just the domain knowledge, but it is the ability to make something simple. Microsoft has clearly failed at that miserably because they can't make anything simple. But making something simple to use and simple for your average user to understand and be effective with is no small task. That is probably 95% of our internal effort on all of our solutions is that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like, so what, do you have a guest at your door?
Yeah, just coming into, I guess, change an air filter or something.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I think that's the challenge is really making something simple is very hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A couple other things top of my mind. We've got 5 minutes to go. Australia DCI User Group Summit is happening today for the last 2 days down in Australia there. User Group Summit, is run this year already in Amsterdam. It's running in Orlando later this year. This week it's running in Australia. And we've heard some comments, come through the feed about they really, in their keynote address, kind of almost hardcore bitch slapped the Dynamic Saturday events, which I found interesting and almost why, it's obviously came through very strongly. We've I've had in my inbox messages from folks that are down there going, why did Dynamics community feel like they had to hardcore, DCI as they're abbreviated to, hardcore on other community events running in the market? Unusual.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that. Was a very weird little distraction there, but I guess that's what happens when you're an Airbnb. Maintenance people just show up, bang on the door.
Matter.
You ignore them. They ultimately just open the door and come in and change your air filter while you're in the middle of a live show. Sorry,
mate. The only thing we polish, mate, is our head. That's it. Yeah. Nothing else gets polished on the show.
Exactly. No, I agree. It does seem like you had to assume that 365 Saturday and other independent events, they got to be stealing some customer base, right? Or some attendee base. I mean, I don't need to go to your event because I went to something similar over here and see, that kind of emotion or groundswell or whatever you'd want to call it doesn't look good to those guys. But I was a little surprised at how they did kind of come out on it, and particularly when they had some points, I guess, but when they made some comment about, paraphrasing that, you just got some speakers going to get up in front of you and try and sell you stuff. And I was thinking to myself,
which definitely doesn't happen at 365 Saturday events, right? I see technologists get up there and go, look at this. I've not seen people get up there and flog their wares.
I've not seen, I've frankly seen way more of it at UG. At their conferences, I see way more of it. I was kidding Gus about that, but there definitely are MVPs out there that don't hesitate, because that's a customer audience, and you go there with an ulterior motive. So I thought that was a little glass house rock throwing there on their part. Yeah. But
the other one is I'm about to release a blog post on AI Builder tomorrow. Because after last week's session and people asking, I just like, come on, pull your socks up, mate. It's time to actually learn this. So I've gone out, done my research, written a blog post on it, started my journey of learning AI Builder. I think it's critically important for anybody in our space and really where the future's going, that if you do not understand AI now, you need to get onto AI Builder. You need to understand the 4 kind of templates around, that are available there. Because when I drilled into them, I was like, oh my gosh, the use cases just started flowing for me once I understood explicitly what they were, right? And the thing is, we're in a position where the world is changing really around AI. And I think we need to get educated. We cannot afford any longer. Anyhow, look out for that. The other thing is I've written a post on coaching, of having more and more people ask me if I would do one-on-one coaching with them, like career coaching specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't come up with it yet, how I'm going to do it. I've done coaching in the past, but I'm planning on releasing and taking on only 10 people is all I think I can handle. 10 people in coaching. And so I'm releasing a blog post. It'll come out on Saturday or Sunday, I think Saturday, Sunday time zone, depending on where you are, around coaching, how I'm thinking about it, probably seeking feedback from people. And it'll be one-on-one coaching that really is about creating results. It will be intense. It will be, man, there'll be no sitting back, and it'll cost money, because one of the things is that I mentor for free, but I charge for coaching. And it's a model. It's a clear, distinct model that I have. I haven't decided on what I'm going to charge for it, but I think that it was interesting. I was speaking with a common colleague of ours, Steve, and this was a business I was consulting to. And I said, here's my fee for this type of consulting. And they were like, wow, is that negotiable? I said, yeah, sure. We can increase that. No problem at all. Right? I said, the whole idea of a fee is to get you to get really serious about creating the change that's needed. And sometimes people have got to burn some coin to actually realize you need to take stock of where you are in your career and create some change. So I said, listen, I'm quite happy to double my fee if that's going to make you take more action.
If that's what it requires for you to focus, right? Well,
he was like, and his business partner was there. He was like, wow, I hadn't thought of it that way. Like, the longer we delay, the price goes up. I'm like, well, it shows me that you are hesitating in taking the steps that you need to take to make your company successful.
I think, what you've done with the mentoring is tremendous. And I know tons of people have gone through that, and that you do that without any charge. You do that, the way you've done it has been just awesome. I think when it comes to the coaching, you're absolutely right. I think it's not for everybody. No. And if you're not committed and you're not ready to do something, and certainly, cost is a good way to shake out the people that aren't serious, because as a coach, and I know you well enough, that you are not going to do something that you're not successful at. Yeah. You're not going to help somebody that you don't think you're going to be able to come out of that with them being successful from the effort. So you need a way to kind of clear out those. But I think it's awesome. I need to sign up for myself.
Right.
I'm going to get my free coaching here just talking to you.
One of the other things that has come up for me is Dynamics 365 marketing around working with it in an on-premise scenario. Now, we know that it's an online-only service. One of my mates from Hitachi, Joel Lindstrom, said to me today that you could deploy Dynamics 365 marketing directly on CDS, and then you could sync your CDS instance with your on-premise V9 environment. Right? Yep. That's one solution. The problem is there's no documentation around this. There's no how-to. There's no somebody that says, listen, we've done it before. You need to do this. By the way, there be dragons here. Like, right, be careful about this. So it's a bit of a white space at the moment. So if anyone's thinking or worked in the space, that really there's a wide open opportunity to create some blogs, posts, how-tos around how do you integrate with an online version of Dynamics, maybe Dynamics for sales or something like that, V9 on-prem with a CDS instance, setting that up so it's synced and allows Dynamics marketing to then be utilized.
I think part of the reason there's no documentation is there's just too many edge cases out there. We're talking to a customer right now that is looking at Dynamics for marketing, and they want to integrate it with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Mm-hmm. They use Salesforce Marketing Cloud for some other parts of the business. And they're looking at Dynamics 3. So there's no integration for that. I mean, whoever even thought it would need to be done. Yeah. So there's clearly no documentation. And I'm continuously in conversations with customers about integrations that I hadn't contemplated, and there's no app for that. that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, and I don't even frankly know if it's worth a blog post. If we end up going and building an integration between Dynamics for Marketing and Salesforce Marketing Cloud, who the hell would care other than that customer? You know, it's such an edge case. Yeah. But I guess there's still enough on-premise deployments of Dynamics out there that maybe it makes some sense for them to be able to figure out how they can engage with some of these online-only products.
Yeah, so true. Listen, before we cap out on the show, I'm interested in finding guests that have experience around targeting industries inside the SI businesses. So if you know somebody in your system integrated business, if you're a consultant or know of a consultant that probably more with your sales side of your organization really has a clear strategy about targeting industries, I would love you to suggest them to me. I'd love to get them on a podcast and really talk about how do you go after an industry segment very, very specifically, create specific IP and target that industry segment. I'd keen to hear. Steve, we're out of line. We're out of time, out of line.
We are.
I will. I'll cut to the closeout sequence. And guys, I'm interested in your comments. Let us know. And with that, we will say till next week. See you around.
See you guys.